Here we are, huh?
What's up, everybody? All right, here with our first ever Relevant Rants live stream.
Let's
Yeah.
get it.
And would this be a first also having a remote guest on Relevant Rants?
It is. It's
It
two
is.
first.
It's an honor. It's an honor and it's a privilege. Let's get
Well,
it.
we got Boomer, our friend and colleague and
Love
spiritual
having
brother.
Boomer here.
Yeah.
Love doing stuff with you, Boomer.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and you guys got to catch Boomer's show, and we got a lot of more things coming out. So 511 Media Group, keep an eye on us.
Yeah, and I want to give a quick shout out to everybody out there watching. Happy Veterans Day. We want to definitely honor those guys. We know several of them. I'm sure you do too, Boomer.
Freedom is not free. There is a cost.
Amen.
The veterans, a lot of them paid it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you again. Right on. So we're ready today. If you've ever joined in Relevant Rants, we get a chance to rant, and boy, Michael will rant when he gets going.
I will, when I get rolling.
Yeah, that cowboy hat will start bouncing, and we'll start to have fun. I know Boomer will come alive because we have topics that we think is rantable, and we think it's something that should be said. So let's roll with today's show, huh? We're going to bring in Vivek Ranswamy, and it was the debate. Was it really a debate? I mean, the debates. Who are these people? And we're getting to know them, but I don't know if it's the Republican candidate. I don't think it's the Democratic candidates that we're representing, and I think Vivek says it well.
Yeah.
So let's bring him on up, and I like this guy too, Boomer. I think this guy has got a future in politics. I think he says it well, and I think he has an audience.
Let's see.
I want to close with one message to the Democrat Party. End this farce that Joe Biden is going to be your nominee.
Amen.
We know he's not even the president of the United States.
Amen.
He's a puppet for the managerial class. So have the guts to step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside, end his candidacy now, so we can see whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever else. Just tell us the truth so we can have an honest debate.
Yeah. Boomer, I would agree with it.
Close with one message to the Democrats.
I think I would agree with everything he just said. What would you say?
Oh, bro, that is. I'm glad that he can say that. I'm glad he has the stones to say that. But let's be honest. Every Republican up there was like, "What the F is he doing?"
They said, "I wish I'd have said that."
How dare he say that? Although it's on everybody's mind, it's on everybody's heart. They're like, "Bro, this dude is not playing politics. He's playing truth."
He is.
When you're the only one, when you're the one candidate who has the stones to speak truth, which reminds me of Donald Trump.
Oh man!
In politics, it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, well, I like Ramaswamy, and I like what he has to say generally.
Yeah, as he threw out a name that we're all very familiar with. Our studio, we're coming to you from Bakersfield, California, is if we let Newsom have his ways. And where are you at, Boomer?
Man, listen, bro. What Gavin Newsom don't understand, bro. He's already on his way out, bro. He's on his way out. He doesn't even know it yet, but he's on his way out, bro. But he like I told you guys earlier, he's been making Marxist communist attempts to turn California into China for a long time. And the sad part about it's the elite Hollywood corporate class that has influenced him to do this over the years, but he's done it so effectively that the elite in the corporate class is telling him to stop, and he can't stop because he's already on the road, which is why most of the elite in the corporate class has left their California with their businesses, their homes, and everything, because they're like, Newsom, you're doing too good of a job turning California into a communist state. What we thought we wanted, but in all application, bro, we ain't feeling this right.
I'm not on that list of people that wanted that, Boomer.
neither am I. But the people who supported the left, who supported Newsom, you have so many Hollywood elites, bro, who would never say it, but they don't live in California no more. They don't live in San Francisco no more. They don't live in LA anymore. They don't live in Sacramento no more, because everywhere that Newsom has touched with his communist ideas has affected not only the lower class, but it's also affected the corporate class, which were his sponsors.
Well, look at San Francisco just for an example.
Oh
I mean, they came out and the homeless can sleep or do their business right in public, and looting is crazy. People are lifting up their trunks now, rolling the windows down, and say there's nothing in our car. Don't steal from us. And now all the businesses have left because they can't afford to cover the theft cost. And the insurance companies are done with it. I
think it's pretty actually terrifying. If you read the title of this headline, that was article you shared, and we'll share all the links later for you guys who are watching. But for California to track, like they're going to track people from cradle to career, like what are they doing here?
Well, he got back from China and he had an epiphany, I guess, over there, Boomer. I think he went over there and he's probably like, I can do this in California.
Yeah,
and he wants to track kids from cradle to career, because he's saying that millions will be their lives will be expanded. But I think as you talk about this, you have to talk about the millions that their lives won't be enhanced by this. We already see with our educational system here in California what a disaster it is. And if you play by Newsom's rules, and you do get the board set up where you have some normal thinking people on there and saying, hey, we want a different curriculum here in our school. Now he's passed a law that says we can't change the curriculum from the board level. And that's not legal. I mean, he likes to come in and do things that aren't legal in America.
Yeah, and that last law he passed, it'll get overturned when it goes to the Supreme Court of California. That's
will.
And he knows it. But again, what I'm surprised at is that nobody has connected to dots to see who is the actual Chinese person in China who's governing Gavin Newsom. Because remember, Gavin Newsom isn't a smart guy. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, Gavin Newsom isn't a smart guy. He's barely articulate, and I'm not just knocking him. He's suave. He can talk. He can caress himself into conversations, but he's not a strategic kind of guy. So I'm trying to connect the dots and say, who in China specifically, who's your puppet, Gavin? Because you're getting paid. That's obvious. You're coming back from China with communist thoughts and ideas and trying to implement them. Again, cradle to the grave is a Marxist idea. It's a communist idea that's been put in place on the East for a long time. And now you're attempting to bring that here. For one, it's sheer stupidity to think that after COVID, after you scared all of even the left was like, man, he scared us. After you scared everybody into shutting down everything, do you really think I'm gonna allow you to track my kid from cradle to career?
It's one of those things, Boomer, that in Fresno, California, or Fresno, China, they found one of the Chinese labs, and they can't figure out who opened it, or at least they won't let us know who opened it. And right under Gavin Newsom's nose, I mean, if he didn't know about it, he should have. It's like right under his nose. Even the people in the Chinese government didn't let their Chinese contact here know what they were doing. It was a laboratory that had viruses in it. I mean, and it's so crazy how you hear about that and people get involved, and then it disappears from our news, just like Epstein's guest list on his island.
Yeah, that ain't never coming up.
We know these things exist, but let's find out let's trail them all the way back. If you want to go cradle to grave, let's find out who opened that Chinese lab in Fresno, California, because they had to take out permits. They had somebody knew they were operating, and when they go, guess what? They're gone. I mean, there was no tenant in the building. It's so, hey, go cradle to grave, but do it with everything. I mean, let's get behind this stuff and see what's happening, especially even in California with fossil fuels, energies, that kind of stuff, and the homeless problem. I mean, if this was something that Gavin started when he first was elected, I mean, it's to the point now where he can't stop it. I mean, it's so out of control. I think in San Francisco, they wanted to close down some of the homeless encampments, and they took a jurisdiction out that said he couldn't do it.
Well, and I think it's relevant, right? Because it's talking about the veterans homeless crisis, but let's face it, like this isn't just a veterans problem. This is a problem across the board with all, and it's it's a mental health and drug issue more than anything. And I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, oh, great, they're building housing for the homeless. Really, they're just putting a Band-Aid over like a gushing wound. They're not trying to solve the underlying problem, because this problem is solvable. It used to, like, this didn't used to exist. Sure, there's new things, the world's changed, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But really, like, we're not trying to solve the real problem. We're just trying to put a Band-Aid over it. And I don't really even understand the direction or reason why they're doing that. Because, like, look, what does it benefit you to have all these homeless everywhere? Because if he really wanted to solve it, he could and he wouldn't, but he doesn't.
Yeah, and understand this, like, the benchmark for success is our benchmark for success is different from his benchmark for success. His benchmark for success is to keep them in a homeless state and depending completely on the state. That is the end game, because if you can keep a family poor, they will always have to depend on you, the state. So yeah, I would rather, Newsom would rather have, and this is sad, but this is his measure of success. Newsom would rather have a whole state of homeless people who looks to him for the answer of living, in regards to food, in regards to work, in regards to all of that, as opposed to having a working class who can fend for themselves and adjust and do all of those kind of things. So our measure for success is way different. We see homeless men on the street. Our thing is to take them in, get them fresh, get them renewed, get them into a right state of mind, kick them out to get a job, and then they go build. Newsom's like, that's stupid, Boomer. That's stupid. That's not how you keep them.
But what? Do you really think that these homeless people that are on drugs are voting? Maybe they are, but
they're voting for him.
I think they're voting for him because really. But this is the thing.
I mean, I guess you have to be on drugs to vote for Newsom, right?
But this is the thing, though. In order for him to get their vote, because it came a time where the homeless was like, man, we don't care about politics or whatever.
They don't vote.
Newsom started to open up. He started to give them, administer to their drug issues. He started to administer to their alcohol issues. He started to administer to it. So now they're like, all right, man, he's going to help us do drugs. He's giving us all of the free stuff. He's making drug-free zones. He's opening up clinics where we can go get free stuff, bro.
We get shots.
There's no reason not to vote for this guy when you look at it from a homeless person's perspective.
Interesting.
So again, his benchmarks is way different.
You know what's crazy is because I agree with you, because he's not a smart guy, because the new poll numbers are out, because everybody knows that Newsom's running a shadow campaign because he visited Israel. I mean, why would the governor of California need to visit Israel? And then he goes to China.
Yeah, great point.
And as he goes, I love when he was standing on the Chinese wall talking about how great it was, but we don't want to build any more walls. Because of course,
he was saying tear down the great walls.
Well, in California, we have no walls with our borders with Mexico. He doesn't want to do it, but he touts China until it comes to their Great Wall. What's the wall there for? Protection.
Yeah.
And why would we want the immigrants not to come in? We would like them to come in if they do it legally.
And again, remember, y'all, Newsom he really thinks the way he's running and modeling California, like people say, it's the tale of two tapes. It's the tale of two states. Either the nation is going to be like California or the nation is going to be like DeSantis, Florida. Like, it's either one of the two. Yeah, and Newsom believes that because of the social climate and all of this wokeness and all of this social engineering, all the diversity, equity, inclusion, and all of the trans stuff, he's like, man, this is the perfect time. My time has come for them to put me on a pedestal, and I'll make the rest of the United States like California. And then when he got put on that pedestal, people were like, bro, we don't like you. We don't want you. Keep doing what you're doing in California, but don't bring that to the rest of the United
States.
Outside
of California wants him to be their president. Like they're leaving California to get away from him.
He's following them. It's so
I
funny.
remember. Did you guys remember when he tried to say he was gonna start taxing or fining people who left California?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's not even legal. That's actually been tried before, and they lost that battle in court. So he might try that, but someone's going to fight that, and it's going to get struck down.
And my thing is like, Newsom, why though? Why are you trying to fine people?
Yeah.
Why are you? What? Come on, bro. Like seriously, what's your motive? Because if I'm trying to leave your state, rather than you make the necessary adjustments.
Yeah, it's like listen to us. I mean, maybe have a little balance to your administration, because there is zero balance to the administration. I mean, I'm going to use a Chino school district down there. They've got some board members in that says we don't want the curriculum in like we do, like you say. So they're keeping it out. So what does he do? He gets mad and changes the educational rules and say board members can't
change the laws to suit him.
Change the curriculum. It goes like, well, what's he's doing? He's basically saying, I know what's good for your kids, and that is a dangerous place to be.
They legitimately believe that they know better than you do what's right for you.
They do,
and it isn't even a matter. And this is the sad part about it. This is what I want people to understand. Like, listen, y'all, they don't think they know better in regards to they're smarter than you.
They do think that. They legitimately think that, Boomer. I have firsthand knowledge that they do think that. What
they really think is this: you're not worth it. Your job is to have the babies and hand them off to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a power struggle. It isn't even. They just look at women and men and families. They just look at you guys produce the babies and give them to us. You guys are less than, and we are greater than. It isn't a matter of like, oh, they can tote like, oh, we're smart and we have studies and we have this. That's not really what it's about. What it's really about is, well, remember, when it comes to communism always strips the baby away from the family and makes them a ward of the state. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he's doing. Him and his communist entourage, they're saying, hey, you guys can have the babies and we'll let them live in their homes and all of that. We'll let them sleep with you guys. But once they exit that house, they belong to us. That's the reality.
And they're running into an obstacle where parents believe those children are God-given to them, or a great percentage of parents, and they are under the parents' control. And my wife, who's a superintendent of a school district and was on Boomer's show, is basically she cannot dispense an aspirin to a child without including their parent. And now she's being instructed by the California Department of Education to keep a child's gender identity, if it's different than their sex birth identity, away from the parents. And I don't think they're going to get a cooperation from a lot of educators, because educators realize you have to include the parent in the educational process. It is a uphill losing battle if you don't. And it's what goes on at the home. And they're finding out that they're driving parents away from public education by keeping that attitude.
Oh, that massively happened, especially in California in the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone went to homeschooling, and they're like, oh, they've got forced homeschooling, and then they're like, oh, we'll just stay with homeschooling because at least I know what my kids are being taught, right? I mean, we were doing homeschooling way before that, and like we would only either do that or private, but most likely stick to a homeschooling. But I definitely wouldn't go anywhere near public unless your wife was involved. That might be different.
Well, and I think we can all say this here on this show, is that we do believe that education does come from the home predominantly.
Yeah,
and we believe that faith comes from the home predominantly. And you're not going to get a lot of parents that want to placate that to a government, because it's going to be away from really traditional values. And I think they do want to get away from traditional values because they can't then indoctrinate, which is the whole educational system. We're seeing a little bit of that, I do believe, Boomer, as we go forward. And we're talking about the war in Israel and we all believe that it's against a group of terrorists, criminals, barbarians, and they come in the form of Hamas and Hezbollah. And then people are now saying, no, it's for the Palestinians. So you have a group that are trying to say let's be pro-Palestinian, and I'm not against Palestinians. I'm against terrorists. I'm against that indoctrination that the terrorists go through, and we saw it happen in Israel. And we saw what they did October 7th.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And just to give you guys an idea, so these are the things that God created, right? God created family. Mm-hmm. He created labor. He created the state. He created community. He created the church. Those are all of the things that the enemy has been trying to strip.
Yes.
Now, specifically when it comes to ours, now the state wants to be over family. The state wants to be over the church. The state wants to be over the labor. The state wants to be over community. The state wants to be over how we become neighbors to each other, bro. And it's passed down through a Marxist communist idea, bro. We have it at Turning Point. We have this saying that communist is Satan's religion, because it actually is, bro. It strips everything down, bro. And when we go overseas and we go to Israel, look at the landscape, dude. It is not hard to see what Israel is surrounded by. It is clear as day. Look it up on the map, bro. And even colleges now, they're trying to alter the map and try to make Israel bigger than what it really is in order to get the college students to be swayed to be pro-Palestine. And it isn't a matter of being pro-Palestine or pro-Israel, bro. That's not the question, bro. Look at the landscape. Israel has on average 8 million citizens. 8 million people. And they're surrounded by countries that are allied that are up to 1 billion people.
It's so interesting, Boomer. And I've done a little bit of research and thought processing with this war. And I've been told that the military, the United States military, won't even discuss the 6-day war in how it was fought and won, because it was so unlikely for Israel to win that conflict, that war, and make it make sense without God's help. They militarily or strategically, they should not have won that war, but they did. They devastated the Arab communities that came against them, but they can't study it because it's so unlikely, and when you look at that, like you said, you've got a country with 8 million against 1 billion, and I like some of the things that some of our the videos that we pulled up today. Mike, go ahead and play that first one.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. It's a perspective, Boomer, and I think people need to hear perspectives. And here we have a guy who's from Yemen, and he talks about how his country has decided to spend their money on armament versus feeding the country.
To bomb Israel. My poor Yemen is more concerned with killing the Jews than feeding its own starving population. This is the problem with the Arab world. Blind, unforgiving hatred, wrong choices, and a psychopathic leadership. More than 75% of Yemenis live under poverty. Yet our tribal leaders decided to jeopardize an already vulnerable society. Yemen is the world's biggest humanitarian crisis according to the UN. We cannot feed half of our population, yet apparently we can afford to fire missiles aimed at killing Jews. Yemenis have persecuted Yemeni Jews for over 1,400 years, and when Israel was created, the Yemeni Jews finally found a place that they could call home and feel safe in. And now, the Yemeni Jews in Israel are under attack by the Yemenis again. I have received hundreds of messages from Yemenis telling me, "You're not a Yemeni, you're a Jew. You're shame to Yemen. It is an honor to be a shame to Yemen today. Let me know when we start feeding our starving population instead of killing the Jews. Let me know when we have unlearned Jew hatred, misogyny, homophobia, etc., etc., etc. Only then I would be a proud Yemeni. But not right now. Yemen,
I think there's so many people that are like that, Boomer.
Wow. That's
When you get people that are living there saying, hey, let's feed our people and not try to kill another population. And they're coming in, of course, they're all saying we're sticking up for the Palestinians, but it's the Hamas that is there. And there again, if you don't know a lot about Israel, Israel gave up ruling the Gaza Strip in 2007. They said, do it your own. They elected the Hamas in to take care of the people. And look how they take care of them.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it is Israel's going to continue to win because of how they postured themselves up. I mean, biblically, we can go biblically. There will come a time where Israel will get ran and taken over. That is the word of God. But that time isn't now. And once October 7th happened, like I heard a guy, he said, man, Israel's a different monster. And he was in Israel. He said, listen, you guys, we don't care what the UN says. We don't care what America says. We are different. He says we are different. And he equated it. He said on October 7th, I think he said 14 or 1,500 Israelis died. And he said, you guys are so used to death that number doesn't even startle you guys anymore. And he said, but for a population of 8 million, 1,500 is a lot for us. And he put it in perspective. He said on 9/11, imagine if those terrorist attacks killed 50,000 Americans. That's the equated number for that we would feel that 1,400, 1,500 Israelis that died. It felt like 50,000 based on your population. He says, so we're different. We're different. We're not caring about what you're saying. He said we're about to go take care of Hamas, and then after Hamas, we're going to the northern border and we're going to take care of them up there too. I'm like, let's go.
I think it's interesting. You said, the Bible says, and I've been saying this for a while, and I like that you kind of said something along the same lines. This is a war of good versus evil, and just across the board, not just there, but just in general, like what's going on here in the U.S., war of good versus evil. The thing is, the Bible said we're going to lose this war. But just for a little bit, and then God's going to come back and reign.
Well, let's bring in this video that Boomer had up. It's called "When Facts Matter," not that one, like the facts matter. Yeah, let's go with that one.
Now, you guys listen to this. All of you guys who are listening, and I hope that there are some that are listening that are pro-Palestine, that are pro-Hamas, because I love civil dialogue. I love presenting situations and circumstances that get both sides to think. So if you guys are listening, you guys aren't on board with our way of thinking, that's cool. I'm really for you guys. Watch the video and let me know what you think.
All right. Oh yeah, you're in? Easily. I just have to read terms and conditions just so you know what you're signing. Okay. By supporting Hamas freeing Palestine, you agree to the following. You agree that every Jew, Christian, and non-Muslim in the world must be slaughtered. I don't know about that one. You endorse making homosexuality punishable by jail or death? Oh, no. You don't agree with that? You believe Iran should use Palestinians as puppets to spread radical jihad and destroy the West? No? No. I'm glad I read the terms and agreements. You support strict Sharia law, which bans women from showing their knees, hair, playing sports in public, not being able to travel without a man's permission. I'm sorry. Not interested? Okay. You want a terrorist group that beheads babies and rapes girls to replace only democracy in the Middle East? Not sure that's something to support. So if I sign, I agree with this. Yes. Maybe no. No? Okay.
Oh, no. Thank you. No. I don't support any of these two things that you just read to me, so then I won't be able to sign this then.
That's fair. No, thanks for not signing. Yeah. All right.
Come on now.
If you look at the facts about this, you would hope that people that are wanting to be there and say, hey, you have to accept them the way they are. I think if you realize what they believe in and how they believe in it, you're going to have a little bit of a different opinion, especially if you're the marginalized citizens that they're talking about in there. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
you know, that's what I see the posters that are up says, you know, queers for Palestine. I go, they're not for you. You might be for them, but they are not for you.
And this is the sad part about it. Like it's very easy to support hate from afar. They can support hate when it's all the way across the Atlantic. Of course, they can support it because it isn't up close and personal. But in New York, there was a pro-Palestinian parade, and then the LGBTQ community tried to come and support the Palestinians, and the Palestinians beat the crap out of the LGBTQ plus community because they thought, they had the idea in their mind that, listen, man, I know that your community hates us, but we're going to support you anyway. As a matter of fact, we're going to come off this sidewalk and walk alongside you. And those Palestinians said, no, the hell you're not. Get up out of here. And it's sad because, I mean, according to that community, that was a hate crime. You guys were hated on and physically abused again, but you're not going to bring that up because that doesn't fit the narrative.
You're okay with it in this circumstance.
Yeah.
And I like what you said, Boomer. I like that you said that you're open to dialogue. I know when we had you on a show a week or two ago, you talked about being at a college, and you know, as you're there speaking, you know, you're there representing Turning Point Faith, and the people that are coming up to you are an unlikely couple. And as you start to break it down for them, it starts to become apparent to them, right?
Yes, it was an awesome, you know, African American girl and an awesome white guy that they were like, I didn't know that they were together when I came. But when I'm talking to her, she's like, hey, why are you over there? You should be over here. I said, ma'am, have you ever seen like socialism in the Black community? You know what that looks like? Let me show you what it looks like. And I started to give her, you know, some history, and then she started to give me some history, and we going at it. We're having this dialogue, but it's this white guy who's standing next to her, bro, and he's not saying nothing. And I'm like, and he's kind of close to her, but they both got the same socialism shirt on, like pro-socialism. So I'm like, all right, they might be together on that end. And I'm bringing up stuff, and she's starting to talk about white this and white people this and white people this. And I'm like, but there's this 6'2" white guy standing next to you. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, what is y'all relation to each other? He was like, man, we're engaged. I said, whoa, time out. You're engaged to this woman right here. He said, yeah. I said, and you're engaged to him. I said, for one, everything that has come out your mouth since we've been talking, young lady, has been against your husband, has been against your future husband. I said, but I want to know his thoughts on the matter. I said, can you share your perspective? Because I asked the question, like, don't you know that because of the social climate, there are a lot of white guys who are getting more time for crimes that they wouldn't have gotten if the social climate wasn't what it is today. And she was like, well, and I'm like, well, let me get his answer. And he said, I want to know her answer. And I was like, ooh, it's getting good. It's getting good. But then I told him at the end of the day, I said, hey, bro, come in here, hear Charlie Kirk out. We're at San Jose State. Come and listen to him. And I was like, sis, you don't got to listen to him. I understand the page you're on. That's cool. I said, but for you, man, it seems like you're open to honest dialogue. And I said, I can get you front row seats. Don't even trip. You can do your thing. Come in there with your people. I ain't even worried about it. I'll make sure I sit in the front row. And he said, I'm not going. And I was like, and then his girl was like, his fiance was like, you know what, babe, you probably should go. You probably can enlighten them and all this. And I'm like, bro, you probably can enlighten us. Like, don't even trip. Like, come up in there. And he's kind of like, you know, jugging and all this. I'm like, man, why ain't you gonna go? And he was like, bro, to be honest with you, if I sit in the room with Charlie Kirk, there's a strong possibility he'll sway me. And I was like,
well, it sounds like you're already swayed.
My point exactly. And I was just trying to tie the bow on it because I already knew, like, bro, all you have to do is sit down, listen to Charlie for 20 unhindered
Get some
minutes
education.
without your people behind you? Because
Yeah.
the whole time you have people on the microphone, Turning Point is racist, anybody who supports, and they kept trying to come interrupt our dialogue. And I told him, and I told his fiance, I said, are you guys going to bend to your group trying to censor your speech, not mine? I'm going to continue to talk. They're trying to censor your speech. Are you going to allow them? And he was like, no, we're just here talking. I said, well, can you tell your crew to stop trying to interrupt and stop trying to censor your speech? And he was like, no, I'm not going to tell them because they have the freedom to do what they want to do. I'm like, okay, but you have the freedom to stay and you're going to stay, right? He said, yeah, we're going to stay. So I'm like, as I'm going throughout the conversation, I'm like, okay, this dude already drove a wedge between their fake little relationship that they think they have, that he's been bending to. And then he pulled, bro, I said, listen, bro, how is it that we've been sitting here this whole time? Bro, we've been talking for like 40 minutes. And I said, bro, you haven't said anything. You haven't spoken on any points. And I know you have an opinion about some of the stuff. And he said, bro, it's the intersectionality argument. He was like, bro, she's black. She's been through more than me. He was like, my opinion can't outweigh hers. And I was like, can facts outweigh hers? Outside of her being black, me being black, and you being white, if there was a fact in the middle of us that didn't have any color to it,
right?
Does that trump my skin color and my history and what I've been through? Even if that fact came from a white guy.
It's true.
Well, but I'm having this conversation with him and I'm like, oh, I almost got him, y'all. If I can get him to come, but he said, man, if I come and listen to Charlie, he will be swayed. And I would have.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you want to expose yourself to the truth? So like, you know the truth, right? Like you're like, I'm going to have this opinion. I'm going to be so hardcore about this opinion. I don't care about the truth.
But this is the thing, bro. Most people on that side, they've made it a tribe mentality to where if I cannot be included in the tribe, I will deny all reality. Yep. And that's exactly what's going on, bro. Men like us or women like us and who are on the conservative side, who are on the Christian side, I will stand on Jesus. I will stand on conservative values amidst 1,000 liberals who hate me. From the liberal perspective is their whole machine is built around tribalism. So regardless if you are standing on facts or not, you have to be a part of the tribe. In order to be a part of the tribe, there's a couple things you're going to have to deny. You're going to have to turn in your man card. Yeah. There's no more being a man. That man or the patriarchy, you're going to have to turn that in. For the women, you're going to have to turn in that wife and that want to bear children card. You're going to turn that in. Leave that at the door. In order to get into this club, there are things you're going to have to deny that are innate in you. You're going to have to deny those in order to be a part of the club. And they want to be a part of the club so bad, bro. They want to be a part of that club so bad that they'll deny the innate ability for a man to be a man and a woman to be a woman.
So it's absent of all logic.
Yeah.
It isn't logical, bro. It's just, and the sad part about it, it's like, would you rather be on the winning side or the logical side? And they're like, we're on the winning side. That's why they always say, like, F your logic, F your facts, F your statistics, because they don't matter. Which is why when we go to colleges, all of the lefties stand up and start yelling every time we talk about facts and talk about logic, because to them, it does not matter.
I'm going to choose to do things that are causing damage to me and hurting me because I want to be popular. And it's all about a popularity contest.
And that's when scripture comes into play. In Timothy, it says, they are under the snare of the enemy to do his will. Most of them don't even have a clue that they're not walking by the beat of their own drum. And it's really sad, bro. It's really
It is. I know when Paul said, I'm afraid that you will be deceived.
Oh, bro.
Like Eve.
Bro.
It is. Well, hey, I love it, Boomer. I'm so glad you joined in with us, and we ranted. And had a time flew by and had a great time. Hope you enjoyed our first streaming of Relevant Rants, 511 Media Group, and over on Boomer's page. And hey, keep watching, because Boomer's got a show dropping, and we've got some more ideas and thoughts coming out with a bunch more shows. And hey.
Yeah, Boomer stuff's coming real soon.
And
Way more,
if you like what we're talking about, you're probably still with us. If you're not, then
that's
yeah.
right too.
Hey, let us know anyways, because we don't mind, like Boomer said, people disagreeing with us.
Oh yeah,
Do not mind.
listen, man. I want to thank 511 Media Group for the partnership. It's amazing. We're about to do big things. And listen, you guys, my show is called OK Boomer. Now listen,
Okay, Boomer.
listen, you guys. OK Boomer is for everybody to listen. Those who are not in agreement and those who are. I will take question and answers, and I always take questions from those who are in opposition in order for us to build community, build dialogue, come to true factual matters, or to stay in disagreement. I don't really care. As long as we continue to be neighbors with each other, the enemy is trying to attempt us to separate each other based on color lines, socioeconomic lines, and all of that trash. OK Boomer is a dialogue and talk about amazing topics that are going to ruffle feathers, but they ruffle feathers in order to provoke you to conversation. So if you're for conversation, man, you're for dialoguing, you're for awesome topics, and you're for this handsome guy looking at me 20. Let's get it in, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thanks for watching, y'all. Have a great day. God bless.